Hi, welcome back to Healing in Harmony podcast. My name is Dr. Tabby Cat, and you have made it to my first episode, which is going to take a peek into my journey and my life, my story, and a few of my spiritual awakenings, and what brought me to this point in my life to make me who I am today. So, as always, grab your tea and settle down and let's get started. Welcome. All right, and just a small disclaimer at the beginning. Due to legal reasons, I cannot be as open as I wanted to be while making this podcast, so I have summed up a short version of my life and some things I have gone through. I will go in depth on many more moments of my life where I have endured traumas during the future podcasts, depending on which topics we are discussing. While listening to this podcast, I am not looking for any sympathy or feeling sorry for me because I am way beyond the person I was from my past. This is here to help others who can relate to my story and help them heal. All right, let's get started. All right, grab your tissues, your tea, and anything else you need. All right, up until age 3, my life felt beautiful, both inside and out. I looked at my family as pillars of strength, beautiful, independent men and women I admired and aspired to become. I had many dreams and aspirations as a child. I was very creative. I loved art. I loved drawing. I loved dancing, and my dream was to become a famous dancer. So, even as a child, I possessed spiritual gifts and abilities, although at that time I didn't know that's what they were called. At just 3 years old, I experienced my first spiritual awakening. It was profound and overwhelming. I began to have these vivid dreams, hear voices, see spirits around my bed every night. These experiences were so intense that I grew afraid to go to sleep, often hiding under my blankets and praying to God to make it all stop. For many of us, spiritual awakenings are often triggered by trauma, and my journey was no exception. At 3, I faced my first traumatic experience, a series of events that shook my world, inflicted by multiple people. With awakening comes a shift in perception. It was as if my spiritual eyes had been opened and I could now see things for what they truly were. The light within me became visible to others, and for some, it irritated the darkness in them. I began to see the true nature of those around me. The beautiful, strong people I once admired now appeared in a different light. I was surrounded by individuals, particularly women, who were narcissistic and played the victim, people whose actions contradicted the values they claimed to uphold. Many were consumed by attachments, lust, greed, gluttony, and the narcissistic's favorite, craving attention, admiration, and validation. I witnessed choices and behaviors driven by these desires, even at the cost of their souls. Childhood is a vulnerable time when our subconscious minds absorb the environments and experiences around us. These early patterns and beliefs can shape us deeply, often reappearing in adulthood in ways we didn't immediately understand. As for the traumas I've endured, they spanned physical, mental, verbal, sexual abuse, and spiritual abuse from the age of 3 into adulthood. I have personal stories of trafficking and kidnapping to discuss within the depths of the podcast series, and many more as time goes on. Through it all, my higher self taught me a powerful truth. Pain is a mental activity. It's not real. It's the way we often perceive it. This understanding became my strength, allowing me to endure, persevere, and ultimately rise above the challenges I faced. My story is one of awakening, resilience, and the pursuit of truth. It's a reminder that even in our darkest moments, there is light within us that can guide us toward healing and growth. As I transitioned into adulthood, I noticed a recurring pattern. I was encountering the same types of individuals, only in different forms. This realization prompted me to reflect on how I responded to these people and to reevaluate where my boundaries needed to be drawn. Once I made those changes and began enforcing healthier boundaries, the dynamic shifted. The types of people around me began to change, and I started connecting with members of my soul tribe, those who truly resonated with me on a deeper level. I also came to understand for much of my life, I had been managing my traumas in various ways as a means of regaining control over my circumstances. However, it wasn't until I consciously began the journey of self-healing that I truly started to transform and reclaim my life. Throughout my life, I've always taken pride in my appearance and worked hard to stay in shape, recognizing the value society often places on looks. In my early 20s to my 30s, I worked as a dancer in a strip club, earning a significant income. I never engaged in anything beyond dancing, so I didn't view it as a problematic at the time. I've always embraced my sexuality, and for a long time, I used dominance in intimate relationships to feel in control and protect myself emotionally. However, this approach often left me detached, and I found it difficult to connect on a deeper level. Anytime someone expressed love or vulnerability by saying, "I love you," it triggered me to shut down and emotionally and walk away. The people I gravitated towards during that phase of my life were those who mirrored my lifestyle and mindset: gang members, drug dealers, high rollers, and others who operated in similar environments. There were individuals I felt could understand and relate to me at that point in my journey. Despite the environments I was immersed in, I've always maintained a strong sense of personal control. I can honestly say that I've never been addicted to anything to the point where I couldn't stop on my own. While I've experimented with drugs and alcohol, my body and intuition have always guided me, signaling what wasn't right for me. I've always learned that while we all possess this intuitive wisdom, many of us struggle to listen to it. At the age of 18, I married someone who rescued me from my traumatic home life. We shared a deep trauma bond, but over time, our unresolved wounds began to clash. Both of us struggled with control issues, unwilling to be vulnerable or truly submissive to one another, which created significant challenges in our relationship. In the beginning, our connection felt wonderful, full of hope and promise. However, as time went on, things spiraled into chaos. His addictive tendencies took hold, and when I chose not to participate in those behaviors, he began to see me as an adversary rather than a partner. He wasn't a narcissist, but he displayed narcissistic tendencies, a result of carrying unhealed trauma as a protective mechanism. This energy, rooted in his past experiences, created barriers that ultimately impacted the dynamic of our marriage. During my marriage, I endured many situations that, had I been healed, I would have never tolerated. I felt an overwhelming sense of debt and gratitude toward my husband for rescuing me from my traumatic home life, which clouded my abilities to set boundaries and prioritize my well-being. Like many people who came into my life to serve as lessons, my husband's actions and the negativity I faced in our relationship eventually caught up with him. I observed this pattern repeatedly. Those who have caused harm have ultimately faced the consequences of their actions. Tragically, my husband passed away at a young age, an unexpected loss that shocked everyone, including me. What makes it even more heartbreaking is the fact that his death could have been prevented. He did, in his dying moment, leave me a message and state that he has always loved me and is sorry for his actions. More recently, I was living in New Jersey with my youngest son and had moved my father in with us. This was the first time he had been an active part of my life, but I quickly realized he was the mirror image of my mother, only in masculine form. His narcissistic tendencies were evident in his constant yelling, selfish behavior, and prioritization of his own happiness over ethical or moral responsibility, even at the expense of his family. During this period, I embarked on a 90-day fast that led to yet another profound spiritual awakening. Once again, I was forced to confront the true nature of the people around me and their intentions. Despite living a comfortable and luxurious life in New Jersey with a good job, thriving spiritual practice, and financial success, I decided to push my spiritual growth further. In a moment of what I now recognize as spiritual greed, I performed a manifestation for ultimate abundance and heightened intuition at a master level. What followed was a series of life-altering events. I lost everything. My money was gone. I became homeless, lived in my car. My son had to stay with his friends. This upheaval stemmed from a false accusation by a family member. Although the accusation was ultimately dropped, the damage was done, and I decided to leave New Jersey and move to Texas. It was in Texas that I met my twin flame, an experience that profoundly transformed my spiritual journey. Although he has since become what some would call a fallen angel, the connection between twin flames remains unbreakable as they share the same soul. From the moment we met, my spiritual abilities intensified exponentially. I experienced nightly downloads of information that left me waking up, talking, writing, and processing an overwhelming number of insights. I knew instantly that he was my twin flame, but like many twin flame dynamics, ours was tumultuous. He was in the running phase, which brought ghosting, arguments, and emotional highs and lows. The purpose of a twin flame connection is to reveal both the shadow and light aspects of us, and through him, I confronted parts of my soul I had never faced before. However, as time passed, he became more entrenched in his shadow self, resisting the healing and inner work necessary for us to align. For over 2 years, I navigated this intense connection, hoping he would step into the light so we could fulfill our soul's purpose together. And this brings us to the present. I've undergone profound healing, clearing myself from past karmic cycles and living fully aligned with my Dharma. I've even broken free from generational traumas, allowing me to focus entirely on the present and embrace the purpose I was destined to fulfill. A major part of my growth has been establishing strong boundaries, especially concerning my sexuality, a lesson God intended for me to learn. I've been celibate for a significant period, honoring my commitment to wait until divine timing to share that part of myself. When the time comes, it will be with my kingdom spouse, the partner God has chosen specifically for me. Looking back, I now understand that every challenge and experience I faced from birth onward was preparing me to become the spiritual guide, leader, and healer I am today. My academic journey is a testament to this purpose. I've earned more college degrees than I can count, and I know it was all part of God's plan to equip me with the knowledge I need to build and run my business independently. More importantly, this foundation enables me to help others heal, spread love, and teach what is meant to experience true unconditional love. A love that is pure, honest, and transformative. That is why I'm here, to guide, to inspire, and to make a difference in the world. So now I will end it on my favorite, a poem to try and lift our spirits and to keep it on a positive ending. All right, so we will read Shining Your Light, and this is by Poems of Earth and Spirit by Kai Sadenberg. All right, Shining Your Light. So there you are, a bright fireball, shining your light in the midst of a vast sea of darkness. There's nothing like you for many miles around. For as far as most eyes could see, still you shine. Your light is only you can do. You shine as if your life depended on it, because, in fact, it does. You give it everything you've got, fully aware that you are giving it all away. That this giving eventually will end your life as you know it. You shine as brightly as you can, because that is what you are here to do. to light up your corner of the universe, to give your gift whether or not anyone can see it. You say it doesn't matter if anyone notices. That's the pure act of creation is enough. Still, maybe one day on a distant planet, someone will gaze up into the night sky and notice your unique spark of light. And your light will enter and move through them, stirring something deep within that they feel you cannot name, leaving them subtly but forever changed in a way that neither they nor you may ever realize. And perhaps this will happen again and again in many places over many years, all because you were willing to shine your light, even if no one could see it. The end. And that is that. So, like I said, this was episode 1, just a little bit into my story and how I became who I am and why I got my various degrees and why I became a counselor. And it was basically to help heal others, especially those that have similar stories to mine. In the next coming episodes, we will start out with a small meditation, and we will always end it on a positive note. So hope to see you then. Thanks for listening. Bye.